Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Adi Achint. A lot is being spoken, is spoken, and was spoken about Pakistan. Everybody thinks Pakistan is going to fail. It is to a large extent. There's no denying that fact. But there's also a question being asked that is Pakistan too important to fail, not just for the region, but for the entire subcontinent? To discuss this intricate issue and these little conversations that we can hear around, I have with me, as you can see, Lieutenant General Ravi Shankar. Sir, good evening and welcome.
Hi, good evening, and thanks a lot for calling me over once again. Pleasure to be on Dev Talks, and fun to talk of Pakistan.
Indeed, it is. But the interesting part about this whole conversation is that to,
Mhm.
because Pakistan is now so close to the brink, there is a bit of a murmur which is happening, especially in the West. Is Pakistan too important to fail? This was also an article I read in the South China Morning Post. I read the same thing as a statement given by the Russian ambassador to India. So there seems to be some understanding of this, and I'd like to kind of look at this from a different perspective away from India as to how the world looks at Pakistan. So what's your opinion there, sir?
Yeah, look, other day we were talking of something else and what to talk today and all that. When I was, reading about a lot of other things, suddenly I hit upon this article which said Pakistan and Egypt are too big to fail. So I went into the details. Why Egypt? Why Pakistan? I mean, obviously, it was written by a Muslim guy. That was the thing, and he felt that these two nations were too big for to fail. Uh, then I saw op-ed in Dawn, which surprisingly by a Pakistani lady uh, who didn't feel so, who felt that Pakistan could fail. Right? Now there's an international opinion which says Pakistan is too big to fail, or Pakistan can't fail for whatever reasons. And there, this lady says, look, that construct was of a different era and different time and different circumstances. Pakistan couldn't fail then. Okay. Uh, so I said, okay, let me look at it. I didn't find a satisfactory answer to this. So then I said, okay, let's discuss it.
Probably
I mean,
something I've got.
I'd like not only my views, I'll put across some views of mine. You put across your views, and I'd like the people who are listening to give in views, not ask standard questions. Let's use our brain. You know, after all, we are an intelligent group. We have good people who ask good questions. Put your thinking cap on and don't ask me, when will Pakistan collapse? That's the favorite tagline of every Indian. Well, let's see, why is Pakistan too big to fail? Well, then it comes to a question: has it failed already? Is it failing? Ever since I was a young officer, everyone says Pakistan is failing. It has been failing for the past 75 years. So, what is it?
What is keeping Pakistan alive?
No, forget that. Let's discuss the fact: is it failed, or is it failing, or is it yet to fail, or on the verge of failure? What is failure for Pakistan?
Okay, let's define something, sir. What is failure for a
Yeah,
nation?
yeah.
Let's
You see, if
define that,
you,
and we move
yeah,
forward.
okay, I have no issue with it.
Yes, sir.
When you talk of failure of a nation, right? The first thing is the writ of the government doesn't run within its borders. One. Second, its currency is not respected within its own, you know, borders. Forget outside, within your own borders. Then you see large flight of money away from that place. Then the fundamental structures which, you know, form a nation which is governed by rule of law does not exist. The very concept of law fails, right? Or maybe it's a failed state because the resources have failed completely. So, what do you think?
What you're describing is current day Pakistan, sir.
Look, okay, and of course, anarchy sets in and all
Yeah,
that,
of course. If you take
right?
countries like Sudan and stuff like that.
Look, I remember once, when we we're doing the National Defense College course, we were just at that time piracy was on and Somalia was a problem. So the problem which was being defined is they said, look, what do you do with Somalia kind of a state?
Hmm.
You catch a pirate, he's a Somali, how do you bring him to law? You go hand him over to the police in Somali, the very next day is back at sea, that pirate doing piracy.
With the cops,
Unless,
probably.
yeah, whatever, unless there is rule of law prevalent, and then this chaps, someone takes them through a court, throws them into a can, even if it's that communist form of government, there is some code of how people live. So if that is not there, anything can happen.
Hmm.
Okay, and Somalia has led that at that time. I don't know how things have improved or gone bad. And you said Sudan. Sudan has broken up so many times. I don't even know how many times. Okay. I mean, it's a. When I was doing the long country staff course, I'm talking of '84. Uh, there was a Sudanese army officer who was doing the course with us, and he used to talk about Sudan, and I found him very cultured, erudite. In fact, during one of those breaks, his sister and his brother-in-law came. His brother-in-law was a high-up civil servant. I found it a pleasure to talk to them. And when they used to discuss about Sudan, the Nile, and the stories about that, and how the Nile in the Nile Delta, everything was hunky dory and prosperous nation. I used to say, look, I want to come to Sudan, and he used to say, come anytime, we'll look after you. Well, that kind of a thing. Because we didn't have money to go, you know, past Devlali those days. We were so poorly paid, but that's a different thing. So my concept of Sudan was that it was a very cultured land, everything. But now it's in a different framework altogether.
Yeah.
Okay. At some point of time, they wanted to Sudan and Libya wanted to become one nation, and so many things. You know. So when you say Sudan is a failed state, it's gone through a lot of things. Look at Somalia. Look at many of these states in Africa where I mean, the rule of the law stops at W. Okay, and nothing more. When you compare it that with Pakistan, is Pakistan there at that level? But when you compare it with say other countries, Pakistan, where is Pakistan? So what is Pakistan when you say failing? That's a question I have. Because once you got we're clear about that, the rest of everything I think becomes clear.
Actually, I want to add to the confusion, if I may,
Yeah.
sir. Okay. We say okay, Pakistan will default, and that's the end of it. Uh,
No,
we
nations
have
have
a
defaulted.
we have a country
Argentina has
called
defaulted.
yeah, we have a country called Afghanistan with violence,
Uh,
terrible strife,
mm.
no help. It's I mean still there. So what does failure of Pakistan actually means?
Yeah, that's the point. One has to define what is failure just
Are
because
we
of.
looking at
I mean, let me put it to elucidate further. Just because a country has defaulted on its payments It doesn't mean that the state has failed completely. You see, Sri Lanka, just
Mhm.
they've defaulted recently. Argentina defaulted long back. Okay,
USA is
that's
on the
one.
verge of default.
I wouldn't say that because they don't need to default. But there are many countries which defaulted. Okay, uh, where did they all fail? No. Bangladesh
Greece.
is on the Greece. Greece defaulted. Okay. So what is failure? Let me ask this question. In fact, instead of we going through this talk and then coming to the questions, let's ask the audience what is failure.
Yeah, guys, what do you think? What is failure of Pakistan? I
Let's
mean,
have a
it's an
discussion.
interesting question because everybody in India today talks about बस अभी तो खत्म
Khatam. क्या है? What is
खत्म
Khatam in Pakistan?
होगा क्या? Will it break up? I don't think so. Uh,
No, let's
as
ask that. Let's see if someone gives you an answer.
let's
Has
see.
someone give?
Yeah, one person says failure in everything. That's a very broad statement.
Yeah,
Let's
Krishna,
see
please
what
tell
more
us
comes
what
out.
is it all about?
So let's. I think everybody is thinking. Okay, this is interesting. Namesake of yours says, failure would be Pakistan losing its nukes.
Okay. So one factor is nukes.
Failure
Not
not
able to.
able to recover back to its originality.
What is that originality?
Okay. Mm, guys, failure. Okay. I have some more. Failure. Sharada says failure may be for the common man, not being able to see the one's, uh, not be able to see one's future.
Look, Sharda, I'll give you my view. I'm going to counter your view, and this is put that on. Put that question back, and I'm going to counter that view only for argument's sake. Maybe you're right. Only for hitting off a debate. Does any common man see his future in any country?
Yeah, I mean, especially the lower end of the strata will be.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, then there's another interesting one which says means reduced ability to hurt India.
Oh, that's failure. Okay, Mahipal has his own view.
Krishna says food, military, and security failure is
Okay.
failure for
Okay.
Pakistan. Then, oh my God, this is like going crazy faster than I can read them. Not being able to feed its people, not being able to feed people properly, and taking care of people. Another one, uh, you know, failure is not getting
Okay.
enough. Whoa. Okay, wait. Okay, this opened a storm. I must say, the failure is not getting enough money to army to get the DHQ flats. Okay, failure of a country is when people do not have nationalism and want to migrate to other countries and feel insecure. Also, when they don't want to live in that country.
Okay.
That's interesting. That's a strong one. Pakistan is now an alternative word for failure itself.
Mhm. Okay. He's concluded that Pakistan has failed.
Okay. Failure means to cease to exist as an integral entity.
Okay.
सरकारी संस्थाओं का कार्यक्रम होना.
Hona.
Failure is when a military coup takes place.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hmm. Okay. Losing influence.
Mm-hmm.
Failure is when the entire world comes together against you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sharada has something more to say. Maybe I'm looking at whether one has an opportunity to get into one's feet within the
Okay.
existing system. Thanks
Fine.
for the
Fair enough.
clarification. That's actually a good
Yeah, I go with her. I understand. I
breakdown of.
just triggered off a debate. That's about all.
I know, sir. I mean, it's going faster than I can read them.
No, that's
Uh,
okay. Look, Adi. Every day you question me and I question you, and we come out with then
yeah,
we
I think
this. I think a different way of talking. So let's talk that.
Urmila says, "Nation made with civilization and culture, imported civilization that doesn't last."
Okay.
This is a civilized. I think this is a very strong point, civilizational issue, which is quite a
Okay. So I
losing
mean, okay,
national
fine.
integrity.
Integrity. Okay, right. I look. Why when you
All
live
right,
in a
guys,
nation?
let's now get back into the game. There's so many.
No,
Thanks so
fine.
much for
Wait.
all your
No,
participation.
look, let me put certain things into perspective. When you call a nation is a set of people with common beliefs, with a common
Thank you.
destiny, right? Yeah, thanks, Shraddha. I understand you completely what you're saying. So glad that you could take it on maturely. A nation is of a people with common beliefs, with a common destiny, with common culture, with common bonds, and living in a common border or in within a thing, and living in an ordered society, right? In a society which they frame for themselves as to how they should live.
Hmm.
That's how nations form. Okay, I'll give you a very philosophical way of defining nationality of India. When it is no, sometime back we went to Tanjavur, Tanjore. Okay, there's that huge temple, Brigadiswara temple, and all that we saw and all that. And this was when we were doing NDC 2008 9. So there was this person who said, "Sir, forget this temple. We'll go to a small temple, which is about 20 kilometers from here, and that temple has it's a very old temple. If you, I mean, we said, yeah, let's go. We had some time left, and so we said, let's go. We had a couple of hours before, or so we went to the temple, and the temple was actually closed. So we had to shout out. One came, one Panditji, Archika. So we said, okay, we are here. There's that, and he was quite a well-read guy. Poor, by no means was he well off, but well-read guy. And he took us around. He explained everything and all. There was this one place, murals on the wall. Okay, rock murals. I said, someone asked him, what's this? He says, sir, these are the five rivers which define India. I said, yeah, what's this? Very interesting. So it was the murals of five ladies standing on someone on a crocodile, someone on a machi, someone on a tortoise, someone on something. So he said, look, this is Sindhu. The first one is Sindhu. I said, why Sindhu? Because he said in Sindhu, I think the turtles found, so that lady was on a turtle. The second was Ganga. Okay. Third was uh, Tapti. Like that. He rattled out five, and the last one was Kaveri. And each river is signified by some, you know, animal or a flower or something on which this lady was standing. And he said, look, this defines, this is India. I said, "Oh, look, come again." He says, as per our scriptures, the land which encompasses these rivers, or which is encompassed by these rivers, is Bharatvarsh.
Mhm.
I mean, this man had no clue of even good Tamil, good Hindi. He knew Sanskrit by rote, Tamilian. And he says, "Ye Bharatvarsh." And he said this in English. Huh? He says, the land encompassed by this. So, when you talk of India as a nation with the Hindu majority, and with a culture which is old, what does this culture depict to you? It depicts that this land, with people living in this land encompassed by these rivers, following a particular code of ethics or custom or religion, etc., okay, we're part of Bharatvarsh, a nation. And this nation could accept people of
Hmm.
different other religions coming in. And syncretize their own religion with others, and even throw up religions like, say, Sikhism or Buddhism, which are newer religions, and Christianity also. It could absorb, we're still absorbing all these religions and continue to have the set of common beliefs and common destiny. Okay? And that is a nation. Will this fail in India? Very difficult. Okay? And we are talking of, and this man actually, on that day, I realized, yeah, this fellow, what he's saying is all about India. So if you look at it from that point of view, Pakistan as a nation has not disintegrated. I've taken you away from everything else.
Mm-hmm.
They believe that the nation was formed around Sindh River, Indus River. Okay, they believe that, and to a large extent, it is right also, because the people who formed the nucleus of Pakistan, you forget East Bengal for some time. Okay, where from Sindh, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and Punjab. These three people didn't come from Lucknow. They were original inhabitants of that place. Yeah, migration happened and all that is a different story. They had a common destiny. They felt that these lands would unite and we will be one people. And they accepted the Muhajirs from this side to go and settle there, Muslims. The the Pashtun problem was, and the people who dominated the hills, Pashtuns, were all there. They didn't come from anywhere else. And if you see whether it's the hardcore Sindhis, the Punjabis, or the Pashtuns, or the Gilgiti Baltistan, they've now assimilated Gilgit Baltistan into their fold. I mean, I'm not talking of politics, I'm not talking of current day thing. I'm going by culture, ethics, and ethnics. They all accepted to have a common destiny. Has that broken? Are the constituent ethnicities of Pakistan at loggerheads with each other? The only people who are loggerheads with each other or with the rest of the Pakistan are the Pashtuns and Baloch. The Pashtuns and Baloch are not there in enough strength to break the fundamental construct of Pakistan. The Muhajirs, anyway, have been sidelined long back. So, how will it break?
I I mean, okay, I take
Okay,
your
no,
point.
no, no, I'll come to this business of failure. So, it can't break. The systems can fail, which has happened in Pakistan. The fundamental systems can fail. So when you talk of Pakistan as a failed state, what has failed in that state?
Okay,
The
I
nation
have a
has not. The nation has not failed. It is the state which has failed.
absolutely, absolutely, sir. Now I have a little bit of a I take your thought process when you said Bharat Varsh, it encompasses the this thing, and there's a commonality of culture
I
and
mean,
there's a
one of the rivers I remember still. He was speaking of was Ganga, Yamuna, Kaveri, Godavari,
um,
right? All this.
yeah. Fair enough. That's actually how I will base my argument with you, sir. My argument would be that the Pakistanis or the Pakistan as a state failed the day it was born because, and hear me out, sir, the construct of Pakistan as a culture was identified on a singular basis, which was religion, right? Uh, the basis of a country which actually took up religion as a fore, wherein there were individualistic cultures which were deep, right? Individualistic cultures that were very deep. You have the Punjabis, which had a culture. You had the Baloch, which has a culture. You have the Sindhis, which has a very, very old culture. Pashtuns, who are still fighting for their culture. So there are individualistic cultures which are, there, and which I won't say at loggerheads, but they don't kind of see eye to eye on a lot of things.
Yeah, fine.
So when I look at it in that aspect, and this has been happening right from day one, so you actually have a failed state
Okay.
the
Look,
day it was born.
okay, fine. I go with you. I mean, let me put it. I concede your viewpoint, but let me put something else. When you talk of different ethnicities, they were bound by religion.
Mhm.
So, as a nation, they have not failed. See, what
As
am
it,
I trying to wait? What am I trying to bring across? I'll take you to something else. I'm taking you to. We'll get back to what all our viewers are saying. We, as a nation, it has not failed. It could be warped. You might say it has failed on the day it came into being. It is aimless, all that. But still, these fellows have shown no inclinations of breakaway from each other, except the Pashtuns. Even those Pashtuns don't want a different land. 50% of them say, give us autonomy, give us rights, and all that. Or it's only the TTP, which is a small element, which is militaristic, and Baluch. Okay. But then these two are so minor that the rest of the Pakistan actually has the strength to finish them off. When I say finish them off, finish the
on the
thing
side, and that's what they've been doing. Yes, sir.
they've been doing. But why have what is that failure which we talk of Pakistan? Is it the failure of the nation or failure of the state? So when you say it's a failure of the state, the political entity called Pakistan is at loggerheads with itself. So what is this political entity called Pakistan, which is loggerheads with itself, and which you say is failed? It is their rule of law, it is their economy, it is their diplomacy, it is the way they govern themselves, it is their commerce which has failed. The
The army.
question today, the army, the question today, the way I look at it, the failure or the ultimate breakup or disintegration or XYZ which you talk of, okay, will come when this failed nation, rather, the failed state triggers a failure in the
Failed state converts to a failed nation.
nation.
So in
There is
I absolutely accept it. So Sri Lanka was a failed state, but not a failed nation.
failed nation.
Hmm.
Okay. Its failure as a nation came about during its civil war with the LTTE. The state was
Pakistan
good.
71.
Yeah. The nation failed. It broke. So today, when you say the nation has not failed, it is the state which has failed.
Hmm.
State failures can get rectified by governmental action or political action. Can right because the fundamental of a law, fundamental of having a constitution, fundamental of having some codification of the way you live comes from politics,
That's the state, huh?
right? That has failed miserably in Pakistan. And if you look at any article, many articles are there about failed states, you will find Pakistan very high on that list. Okay, economically it has failed in spectacularly. Militarily it has failed completely. See, armies and militaries are meant to secure the nation, the territorial integrity and sovereignty of the nation. That they have failed. They broke the nation, and today they have are not able to hold the nation together.
Probably break it once again.
Okay, of course, it's a different thing. They've failed. Pakistan army has failed the nation by many other standards. It's,
Hmm.
it,
Hmm.
and it has contributed to the failure of the state.
Hmm.
Okay, the various establishments of Pakistan have contributed to the failure of the state. There was a time when the judiciary of Pakistan rose to the occasion against Pervez Musharraf.
Yeah.
But today, even the judiciary is compromised there.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Okay, so you find a lot of things. Of course, politics has failed completely, is a different thing. The army has failed because, for things which I told you, there's no internal cohesion, X, Y, Z. Yeah. But there are, of course, we all know it's bankrupt, zero. Okay, and this will not recover. But there's one set of people who are not failed, who are still not failing Pakistan. It is their intelligentsia. It is their press. For all its nonsense, if you see the Pakistani press, they write
Hmm.
more
Written.
forthrightly,
Written
right?
press. Written
Written
press.
press.
Not media.
No, 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 media. Media is bought and sold like. So you find that people give balanced opinions, and there is some modicum which is holding of thought, which keeps coming out day in and day out, which people read and understand and say, no, we can't fail each other as a nation. So when you say Pakistan, the way I look at it, the Pakistani state has failed. The nation has not failed. One of the reasons, the second thing which this is my view, it's a contra view, is that the nation is being held together, right, or the state is being held together due to the fact that they have nukes. The very existence of Pakistan, the way it is, what little integration, it's the last pin which is stitching this nation, is its nukes. You take away the nukes, the nation might collapse. Okay,
I think I wanted to make that argument with you, but I think you've hit it already, sir.
okay. So, what are you seeing? Is it too important to fail? When people say, is it too important to fail? They're looking at the political angle and the geopolitical angle.
And the economic angle, probably.
No, economic, no one's bothered. Everyone knows no one's going. Pakistan won't repay anyone. It is the geopolitical angle. If Pakistan fails, what happens to its nukes? See, the thinking process of this failure, why Pakistan should never fail, is look, if Pakistan fails, all the jihadis will keep roaming around, they'll get hold of these nukes, come and blow us up. So we can't let Pakistan fail. This is the thinking. Oh, we can't let Pakistan fail because if this nuclear nation fails, then the Islamic bomb or whatever that symbolism of all that fails, and we will all fall. So the Arabs and the sheikdoms of Dubai ensure the subsistence and existence of Pakistan. From China, oh no, if he fails tomorrow, India will become strong. So, and Pakistan is a cat's paw for me to progress my case and let India get tied down with all these problems on its western border. And of course, it gives me a reach to the Gulf. Through Pakistan, I reach out to the Gulf. And Pakistan has the trust. I mean, this is an old construct, maybe it changed now, has the trust of the West. So if there's a problem, Pakistan I use as an intermediary to get to the West. And then, of course, Pakistan has the capability of controlling Afghanistan and keeping India in line. So these are all geopolitical constructs which say that Pakistan cannot fail. But are these constructs valid anymore?
I think the Pakistani establishment and the government is trying hard to make it invalid, but they're not
No.
able to. The world is not letting them do it. Yeah, तुम ठहर जाओ भाई. Don't do this.
The thing there is that today you don't have, how do I put it? Um with IMF has set such tough conditions for Pakistan. Okay, maybe about 3 4 years back or 5 years back, if IMF had set such conditions, stringent conditions, right? Someone would have said, "Yeah, lay off. He can't. You can't do all that. If it does all that, they out will come 4 5 guys with nukes and ready to sort us out." The scare was there that
Today
Pakistan
it's
will
not.
do something. Today, no one's bothered. People say, "Acha, you want to do that? Okay, try."
Slow degradation.
So they have degraded their aces. The cards which they have, they've degraded their power. So what you're looking at is something far, 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 far a different concept of dealing with Pakistan than what it was in the last, say, just about 5 10 years back. Not even 5 years back, 2 years back. Okay. Yeah, if you look at it, what good does Afghanistan to anyone?
With all due respect to the people, but nothing.
Okay. Nothing.
Some good dry fruits.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm talking of in this joke, in this business of failure. But they have the capability of making Pakistan fail. And they're doing it beautifully.
Okay, so they're not failed,
Right?
then they're making a
So
failed
if
state.
that is the case, the fear of the West that nukes will go and bomb all of them is gone. Now the people in the Gulf and the Arab world, they don't have money. They can't keep funding Pakistan. They say you fail, do what you want. I'm not doing. And if you want money, give me something in lieu. He wants assets. That's a deal. So if that happens, will Pakistan fail? He's transactional and he's got money. So you will see a different Pakistan coming out, say, in a couple of years ahead.
It'll be like an apartment complex,
That's a different story.
land owned by someone and entities owned by someone else.
The same thing has already happened with China. But of course, there's a cultural disconnect between the Chinese
Yeah,
and the Pakistanis.
yeah, yeah.
So they're having different problems. And then within Pakistan, the nation is also under some strain because of extra religiosity, blasphemy, Sharia, to the extreme. The interpretation of these people who have taken an extreme case or position on Islam threaten the nation, not the state. So, if you look at it, where does Pakistan end itself? Pakistan, the way people are dealing with it, they've already realized that Pakistan cannot be made to succeed. If it is not a successful nation, it's a failed nation anyway. There's no wherewithal, no gas left in anyone's tank to make Pakistan succeed. Because the guys who are trying to make Pakistan succeed are themselves don't have gas left. Okay. And this geostrategic relevance of Pakistan is under severe question mark. Okay. So if you see all this, the question I'll again pose back, will Pakistan fail? At yes at one level, no at another level.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. It has failed, but not yet failed.
Yeah.
It's a
Is
very
it
philosophical way of looking at things, but that's how life is.
is it too big to fail or too important to fail? I don't think so. No one thinks so now. Will it go from a failed state to a failed nation? There's some way to go. You see, after all this, misery which the average Pakistani is going through, he's still not on the streets.
I don't think he'll ever come to the streets.
Okay,
I mean, I'm from that opinion. I don't think he'll ever come to the street.
he's still not on the streets. He's not paralyzed the government.
They are
After all,
resilient people.
whatever. So, if you ask me for an answer for this, the state has failed, and there is no hesitancy in anyone's mind to let it fail. As a nation, it has not failed. But if Pakistan plumbs new depths as a state, the nation will fail. Now, how long do you think it will go on? Not till the army. Whether you like the army or not, it's still the biggest player in Pakistan. If the army starts having a problem, Pakistan will go.
Which, I mean, we can have that argument in another program. Do they have a problem or not? We'll
They
figure
have a
that out.
problem,
They
but
do.
will it be big enough to devalue them completely? Is a question mark.
It's a big question, sir.
Question. So, but if you look at it as a nation, why they'll not fail? The army will not let it fail for its own reasons. They want to continue rule. They are the biggest business. All that. Okay. And the people fundamentally, no one in Pakistan wants to secede from the other. Okay. So this is my take that, of course, as far as we are concerned, the faster they fail, the better it is. I mean, that's the way the Indian thinking goes.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. But the funda about, see, and this is the last thing I'll say before we get into the loads of questions and comments. Let's just go through them. We all thought Afghanistan people would come on the streets and kind of push
They're not.
back. They've not. They found their way to survive, and maybe it's smuggling, maybe it's whatever it is.
Whatever.
They're doing whatever they're doing. Funnily speaking, or incidentally speaking, I also feel Pakistan would go down that tube of being a non-standard economy rather than anything else,
Yeah,
because
it could
that's what it
happen.
is even today.
Yeah, look, let me put it this way. Let if the situation in Pakistan continues for another 5 6 years, you're going to see a little a better Afghanistan. Something between what Afghanistan and Pakistan is.
I
You'll see
mean,
Pakistan and that.
if you remember Syria, northern Syria, when ISIS took over and all that stuff, they
Yeah,
were selling oil and they survived. I mean, they
yeah.
survived for
Look,
almost two
that's a different
years.
story because the economy and the oil, fossil fuel, help them survive.
Yeah, I don't
Okay,
know what Pakistan will sell, but
what will Pakistan sell? Donkeys. So I think we'll leave it at that. I've not come to you I've come to you with more questions than we started.
no, it's a nice philosophical debate, sir, and that's something which is we've not done, but
Yeah,
it brings about certain realities of life that we need to
yeah,
understand.
I
That's what
agree.
it is.
So
It is
let's
what it
ask.
is. I mean, Mr. Oh, thank you so much for the super sticker. Naveen Saab, thank you so much for your contribution. A science analogy of super cool water. Okay, this is going to be interesting. It freezes as soon as shock is introduced. Pakistan exists in a similar state of failing on most accounts, but an external shock might just push it over the edge.
Maybe, maybe I go with it. But what is that external shock and where is it going to come from is the $1 million question. If it's a shock from India, it'll reverse will happen.
It'll
And who else will give that shock? I don't know.
In Pakistan's recent past, at what exact socio-political event in Pakistan went wrong or gone the wrong direction, after which the present downfall started?
There are
August.
two, three events, and one is when they got the independence itself. The Pashtuns were not happy. So for the past 75 years, they've been sending Pashtuns all over the countryside in the name of nationalism, Pakistani nationalism, to suppress Pashtun nationalism, whether it was for 65, 47, uh, into Mujahid, made them Mujahideen and put them into Afghanistan, and Taliban and again put them into Afghanistan. So I think that is one event. The second thing where they probably went wrong completely was with Mr. Ziaul Haq, who Islamized Pakistan and made Pakistan a failed state.
Absolutely.
He sowed the seeds of failure then. So these two events put together, I think, has brought Pakistan to where it is, and that answers the question also. Yeah,
Guys, yeah, before I move forward, please like this video. It's an interesting philosophical video, must reach a larger audience. And of course, yes, subscribe to the channel. And if you can, please do help out the Dev Talks efforts with the QR code right above my head.
yeah,
Uh,
and please also support Gunner Shot
yes, absolutely.
for what it
Uh,
is. It's very funny that on this channel when I speak, I get so many views. On that, I get plenty views which I can count on my fingers, and
it's
I
a
hardly have any subscribers.
it's a new one, sir.
No, no, I know, I'm joking.
It's I mean, I'm just running through the. I'm still reading through the comments about Pakistan's failure definition. It's amazing. A lot of people have actually given. I read through a lot of them, but I'm just looking at a new definition that actually came out that we can actually look up. Yeah, see, somebody said North Korea still survives.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
a it's a it's a failed nuclear state. It still survives.
still survives, and that's an interesting point of view to look at it, because at the end of it, a country like that actually survives its you know uh,
Anything else will survive.
huh.
Anything else will survive.
Yeah, yes, absolutely, sir.
Yeah.
Um, okay, this is interesting. Failure of a nation is not a single cataclysmic failure. It's repeated failure on a constitute of its constitutional bodies like judiciary, civil administration, law and order, machinery, and its political leadership. I'd add the
Yeah.
army as well.
Yeah. No, no. Look, the point is there's a difference between the nation and the state. What he is defining is the failure of the state. 100% Pakistan has failed.
Yeah.
But as a nation, it has got some time to go before it fails.
When the social contract between the state and its people fails.
Yeah.
Naveen, is that China you're talking about or Pakistan? Just a joke. But yeah, Pakistan as well. There is a, I mean, I wonder if he would take us back to the days of the 90s when the joke used to be "So mein se 99 beiman, but fir bhi mera Bharat Mahan." So even we survived. So,
Yeah, we survived. Yeah, we survived quite a bit.
yeah. So then there's, I mean, I'm not saying they're as strong as um, we are, but you know,
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree
although
with
very
what you're saying.
sad, although very sad comment, but I want to take this. Good evening, General and Mr. Adi. In my opinion, selling ladies. I mean, it's happening. I
Well,
absolutely
okay.
agree.
Yeah, I will leave it at that. Yeah.
It's a sad thing. I wanted to bring this up because that's how it is. It's. Sharda says, "In sir, then as long as the people are resilient, the nation cannot fail."
Yeah, people are still resilient there. So that's why I say you can't say that Pakistan has failed.
Um, you know, Prasad says country is defined by its people and not by its land. People losing trust within each other and its leadership, such that there is no return possible.
Well, what does it lead to? Failure. But that's the failure of the state, not the nation.
Nation, I guess, failure would a great example. I think we can go back to 71, and I think that's a failure of a nation when it just split apart, or the breakup of the Soviet Union. It was a nation that actually gave way
Yeah,
and split apart. It
split
just
apart and the state could not handle it.
could not handle it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Look, that kind of a thing can happen with China. The failure of the nation can happen with China because the Chinese nation as it is not a homogeneous nation. with Tibet and the Uyghurs and the Mongols. If the political power in China, look, the history of China is that whenever the political power, the central political power went down, the failure of the nation took place. In this case, that might not happen. That's the thing. So what you're going to see is a state which keeps failing, 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 which will plumb new depths of failure, but might not fail as a state.
Somebody told me a joke, and I'll just take 30 seconds. They said that this corruption index has come out, and Nigeria came out to be at the bottom of it, and Pakistan was number two. And so the Pakistanis are discussing here how to bribe the Nigerians so that they remain in number one.
Yeah, they're in a bad
So
shape.
what you're talking about is exactly the same thing at the end of it. You're talking about digging further new heights of failure. I mean,
Yeah,
okay.
that's where it'll go.
Urmila says, but I'm questioning what is Pakistan as a nation. It's certainly not Indus Valley civilization, not nor it is a Muslim state after 1971. They're not Persian, nor Arabs, not Turks. It's only Bharat.
Look, you're looking at it from your point of view, Urmila. This is your construct. But ask 220 million people there. And let me tell you, I know where you're coming from now. What will you do with a Bharat with 220 Muslims,
Oh,
million Muslims? So I mean, one should be careful and sensible when we talk of all this.
yeah.
You can't, that it's the fourth or fifth largest nation in terms of population. You can't just drive them away.
They'll really stand on our borders and keep on troubling us.
Yeah.
A failure is when you lose an ability to make your own choices.
Yeah,
In a
that's a failure of the state that has taken place. When what I wanted to achieve was tell everyone that everyone talks a lot of things about Pakistan. It'll fail. Yeah, even I've spoken, but I thought let me differentiate the failure of the state and the failure of the nation. Pakistani state is not too big to fail. Pakistani nation is not too weak to fail.
till the time the nukes are there,
Whatever,
whatever. I mean,
whatever.
I'm saying it myself,
At the
whatever.
at this point of time, the nation can't might not fail. The state has failed. Okay, that's a paradox.
I mean, that's
If I
what
call it, yeah,
Anil says Pakistan will fail if their army surrender their nukes or is taken out.
very difficult.
Uh,
How do you take out an army just like that?
she says, then there is hope for Pakistan if a revolution arises. But is the capability there wondering what they have been put through? Plus, will the selfish global powers let it happen under their watch?
Look, revolutions if they take place, no power on earth can stop. But my view is that there's no force for a revolution in Pakistan. There is
I
no
really thought
force.
Imran Khan would do something, but he fell flat.
No, he's no force. He's
He
just a
got the
chap who
people
won.
together at least. He got the people together, but then he just lost it. Pakistan got life of 40 years from 1978 till 2022 by the
Yeah, I
US
agree with you.
funding.
As a state, the US pumped Pakistan and kept it alive. Now it's dead. No one is prepared to pay. Yeah.
Rajiv Saab says if Pakistan failed as a nation when Bangladesh got
Yeah.
liberated. So it needs to come to that point.
Yeah, it's not there. There's no movement. That's the thing.
Mandar says the nation is on life support, but
I
not yet.
don't think so.
Really?
There
Okay.
is yeah.
Why?
What is there? How can why will have you ever seen? Have you ever heard of any Pakistani saying, "I don't want to be part of this nation"? They run away from the state, but they still want to come back.
Slow and steady, you see some apolitical
The,
signs of it, but that's too small.
See, the
Agreed.
point is,
Absolutely agreed.
you're talking of 220 million people. Again, remember, the population is too big. Unless the population gets against each other, which might happen. For that, the resources of the land have to be devastated.
Devastated completely.
Yeah.
She says, mentioned that I have not seen them coming out to the ground. She says, Adi, I disagree with you. Hunger can make a person do anything. They might come out to the street in such extreme conditions. I still believe of the instinct of human survival. So do I.
That
Absolutely.
so yeah, that means anarchy.
My observation was still now.
Mhm. Yeah, it might happen ahead. We don't
Yeah.
know. Look, we're discussing all this to understand what is going to happen ahead. What are we going to deal with? Don't think this is a totally altruistic kind of a discussion. I'm forming my ideas to think what will happen next and what should we expect next.
I think it'll just struggle along the same way, sir.
Yeah, no, it's not
Laga
a
rahega wo.
struggle. See, it will keep going. Lawlessness will
Yeah,
increase,
yeah, yeah.
anarchy will set in. It'll violence will increase. Law, as we know, will stop. Okay, and chaos will continue. So that's how it is.
Bharat has a very interesting point. He says what I think is the glue that binds Pakistan apart from its army and its people hatred towards India.
Yeah, I agree. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. See,
Okay.
that is all the more reason for it not to break as a nation.
फिर आगे गाड़ी वापस ट्रैक के ऊपर. The measure is civil unrest, and there is more of that in France and UK presently than in
Yeah,
Pakistan.
I agree. I agree with John.
Yeah, I mean, there's
We
huge
we
lot.
we we tend to blow up events in Pakistan because it
We like to.
it satisfies us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We like to. Yeah, that's fine. Mhm. This is interesting. I must say this is new and fresh. Unless Pakistan becomes North Korea, not allowing anybody to go out of Pakistan and curb them. That would be the ultimate state of survival then.
Again, the state would have failed,
Yeah, but they would
not the
try
nation.
and elongate the failure as far
Yeah.
as possible. And it's quite possible, actually. I would like to keep this as a discussion of what would happen to Pakistan
No,
once
that's
it
what.
does.
See, something will is going to happen in the next. The way I look at it, a month or two, we'll come to a place where we start understanding this is what is the new. Uh, what shall I say? Akar of Pakistan, and we have to deal with that akar.
Yeah,
Why do you want to know what Pakistan is? Because you got to deal with it.
deal with it. Exactly.
Yeah.
No question about it, sir.
Look, let me put it another way. Okay, you break up Pakistan, you take over Pakistan, all constituent states of Pakistan you take over. It becomes Bharat. You still have to deal with it. You still have to deal with 220 million people who don't believe in you
Hmm.
and your thought process, who think they're Arabs, Turks, or whatever they are. So where does it leave you? Okay. Yeah.
Pak Rajya collapsing, but Rashtra is surviving.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
I think we are running out of thing. We'll
Yes, sir.
conclude here.
Just a couple of more. They're beautiful comments coming in. I wish I can actually just put up all of them, but I want to put one that I actually read that was very interesting. Yeah, this is now a little more provoking. This is one, and there's another one I want to put across. So two of them. A lesson to other democratic nations. What are the actions or of the leadership of the civil society one should avoid to prevent going the Pakistan's way. So before you do, we should not be anti anybody else. That's the first thing that I would say.
See, the reason for your, uh, like someone had put it, if your fundamental reason of being together as a nation is against someone else, the feeling of being against someone else, then you have a problem. They will continue like this. When you start looking over their problems and tending to your own problems, you'll survive as a nation and you'll grow. Okay? Yeah.
And this one, sir, the idea of Pakistan was a confusion. It was born in confusion, and today it remains in
Okay.
confusion.
I
So that,
think we'll leave it at that because I don't think if you talk anything more, we'll go away from here on a confused state.
and I'm going to take this comment. Thank you, sir, for a fantastic and thought-provoking discussion. Hope we can agree to disagree. Adi, yours the only channel where I can comment in a live discussion. Thank you for a
Yeah,
welcoming
yeah.
place. My
Yeah,
pleasure.
absolutely. Yeah.
We are
The,
open to a discussion. Nothing is right or wrong. This is a philosophical discussion.
no,
So,
no, look,
you
let
know,
me put it this way. Let me put it this way to Sharda. The the thing is, we have no stakes really in what's happening in Pakistan as much as they themselves have. Okay, our stake is from a different angle altogether. So if we cannot agree to disagree, just look at themselves. Like look at them. What will be their status? So and let me put it across to all of you. I learned very early in my life, and this was a Tata slogan. I don't know whether you people read it or not. Dissent is the voice of progress. Okay, the day dissent stops being the voice of progress, it means their leadership has failed, and your thought leaders are failing. We have gone past that. So that's why, like the young people like Sharda must talk. Not necessary that to think that they are always right or we are wrong or I'm you are wrong and I am right. No, we are all right in our own way, in our own thinking, and if all of us think together, we will get over these issues and go to a better tomorrow,
absolutely.
right? And even God didn't make five fingers the same. Yeah,
And to close this discussion, the India should have a lot of patience to things for things to unfold in Pakistan fully. Do not do anything in
yeah, I
haste.
agree. That's why I've been saying, just let them be,
Aram
let
se.
them sort themselves out fully, and then we can do what we have to do. Right?
Sir,
Yeah.
thank you so much. This has been a thought-provoking discussion. Actually, failed state and a failed nation. Of course, all of us will have a different this thing. I think we also look at Pakistan very emotionally, sir. Of
Yeah.
course, all of us do, and those of us like yourself who've actually been on the side where dig, 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 dig happens. I'm sure the emotions are much higher, but I think all of us as citizens, I guess we get very emotional because today we are in a place that we can showcase our emotional,
Yeah. I
and
agree with you.
we can actually do that. So it's good that we are putting it out, but I think we need to understand this whole concept a little further. So, what about this? Let's do a similar series that is China.
We can.
What definition of China? A failed state or a
Okay.
failed nation?
We can do it next time. Okay.
Because
We'll do it
that's
next.
our main
No,
forte,
we'll
and
do
when
it.
kind of
We'll do it. We'll do it. And for that, people have to read history and come because people who don't understand Chinese history uh, will come to the wrong conclusions.
especially about 2 centuries, I would say.
Yeah, two,
1800s
centuries.
onwards, if you're a little aware of the
Look,
socio-political game.
I've written articles on this. In my articles on China, I've explained the cycles of Chinese progress over the past 2 centuries. It actually follows two streams, but will leave it for the next day.
So I said, guys, before I sign off, please like Venki Saab. Thank you so much. He says about only 85 likes till now. Thank you so much. Please, please, please do like this video. Let's reach a higher audience and get this discussion going. And please do get in touch with us, or you can write to me on the description box. My email is right there. And you can share your ideas if you want us to talk about China, which we will. Any ideas that you guys have that we can base that discussion on. Thank you so much. And, sir, it's a wonderful discussion on this Wednesday night. For the next time, Jai Hind.
Jai Hind. Thank you.